Shri Giri Govardhan Dhari Bhagwan Ki. Mandavya Muni was a sage of no mean spiritual accomplishment. He invoked Yamaraj and said, "Why did this happen to me? I have not hurt anybody in my life. In accordance with the law of karma, this should not have happened to me. The law of karma, as you sow, that shall you reap. I curse you, Yamaraj, that you will be born on the earth planet as the son of a Dasi maid servant." Yamaraj said, "O great sage, I take your curse upon my head. There must be definitely a blessing in it. However, since you have asked, let me offer the explanation to you. When you were small, you had taken a bringi, a beetle, and for no reason except your personal delight, with a twig you had tormented it and killed it. That beetle also has life in it. You performed your bad karma, and what you got was a consequence of that karma. Subsequently, Yamaraj was born as Nasiputra, Vidur." So, Maitreya now addresses the questions that Vidur has posed. And he says, look, when they say that God is the creator, this sentence needs to be understood carefully. God is eternal. He has always existed. And his material energy, Maya, has also always existed. As since the fire has been, its heat and light have also been. Since God has been, the souls and Maya have also been. They are also eternal. So at the time of Mahapralaya, annihilation, God absorbs the world within himself. The elements merge into their sources, and the material energy in its subtle primordial form goes into the Mahodar, the big stomach of God. And then when he creates, he only manifests the world again. In other words, it's a cycle of creation, maintenance, annihilation. Creation, maintenance, annihilation. Creation, maintenance, annihilation. That is why Swami Vivekananda had said, our ancestors, our sages, do not believe in creation. Because creation means making something out of nothing which is impossible. It is a repeated cycle. Bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. The Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna is telling Arjuna. It's a cycle of creation, maintenance and annihilation. And the soul is also eternal. It has been through eternals in unlimited cycles. God does not interfere. God performs the work of a referee. A referee in a soccer match or an umpire in a cricket match is neutral. I will give my decisions, judgments. You are free to make your runs. Now, if a player is good, he hits up a century. If he is bad, he gets out on a duck. The referee is not to be blamed. In the same way, God has given us all the freedom to do our karmas. He only keeps giving the decisions. So wherever we have reached in life, whatever happiness or distress we are getting, rather than blame God, we need to take responsibility. I have got what I deserved. So we need to take responsibility. I am in life where I deserve to be. If I wish to improve my lot, I need to improve my karmas. So, Vidurji, the reason why God descends, Martyavataras-tviha martya shikshanam raksho vadhanai vadakevalam vibho Utonyatha syabravata swatma sita kritanam vyasanani ishvarasya. Now he is going beyond the Bhagavad Gita. You see, where the Bhagavad Gita ends, the Srimad Bhagavatam begins in terms of knowledge. Because Arjuna was in ignorance, the listener of the Gita, and Sri Krishna illumined him. He came into knowledge. But the listener of the Bhagavatam Parikshit is already a renounced soul. So, the Bhagavad Gita gives what reasons for the avatar of God? You have all heard, right? Yada yada dharmasya gladir bhavati bharata vyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanaya thaya sambhavami yuge yuge. God says, look, I descend in order to kill demons, in order to protect devotees, in order to establish dharma. That's what the Gita says. But now the Bhagavatam is going beyond. Says, to kill demons, God doesn't need to descend. He can just decide, let the water become poison for our matter of. Or let cancer develop in Ravan's body, matter of. See, God is Satya Sankalp. He thinks and it happens. Sugriv, when he was worried before the battle in Lanka, Ram said, Sugriv, you are worried? Sugriv said, Maharaj, this Ravan and Kumbhakarna are very powerful demons and they have been going to the gym every day. Ram said, Sugriv, don't you know who I am? Sugriv thought in his mind, Maharaj, who are you? We monkeys have built the bridge to Lanka, that's why you got entry in Lanka, otherwise you would have remained in India itself. Ram said, Sugriv, that is my acting form. That is my Leela. You wish to know my original form? Pishajan, Danvan, Yakshan, Prithivyan, Jaiva Rakshasan, Angullagrena, Tanhanya, Vichan, Hariganeshwara. In the Valmiki Ramayana he says, if I, Sri Ram, simply bend the little finger of my left hand, what to speak of Ravan, what to speak of Kumbhakarna, all the demons will be dead. That is God, all powerful. Sugriv said, Maharaj, if you can kill Ravan Kumbhakarna like this, then what is this drama going on? Ram, Bhalu, Kapi, Kataka, Patora, gathering a monkey of bears and an army of monkeys and bears, please help, please help. What is all this? Ram said, if I kill Ravan like this, then how will you get any seva to do? I am giving you an opportunity to purify yourself, to express your devotion. So, here in the Bhagavad, he says, it is not to kill demons, not to protect devotees. Protecting devotees, God can do it sitting inside. He maintains the Yogakshem. Establishing dharma, he can do it through his sages, the gurus, the acharyas. The main reason why he descends is to display pastimes which provide devotees with the means to do bhakti. Like you are listening right now to the glories of God's pastimes. And through that you are taking your mind to Him. Supposing He did not take the avatar, how would you do bhakti then? Just sit and meditate on the formless? how many would have been able to do it? So for the welfare of the souls, God takes the avatar. And then he starts explaining the history of the universe. He says, Vidurji, the amount of time light takes to pass through a trasaredu, that is called a truti. Now, 300 trutis together form one bodh. 3 bodhs make a love. 3 loves make a pal. 3 pals make a nivesh. 3 nivesh make a kshan. Now you've heard of pal, nivesh, kshan, right? 5 kshan make a laghu. 15 laghu make a kashtha. 15 kashtha make a ghadi. And 2 ghadis make a muhurt. 6 muhurts make a prahar. 8 prahar make 1 day and night. Ashta prahari you have heard. So 7 such divas make a saptah, 2 saptah make a paksh, 2 paksh make a maas, 2 maas make a ritu, 3 ritus make an ayan, 2 ayans make a varsh, a year. Now he goes further. 4,32,000 years is the duration of Kali Yuga. So this is now Kali Yuga Prathame Charane, the first charan of Kali Yuga. Already things are so bad, right? Better get out of here before the remaining Kali Yuga comes. Double of that, 8,64,000 years is the duration of Dwapar Yuga. 12,96,000 years is the duration of Treta Yuga. 17,28,000 years is the duration of Satyuga. When you combine them, they form a Chaturyuga, 43,20,000 years. Now that 43,20,000 years is one Chaturyuga, right? That's called a Mahayuga. When 71 such Mahayugas go by, that makes one Manvantar. One Manu. That is about 31 crore 67 lakh and 20,000 years. Now when such Manvantars go by 14 times, that creates 1 day of Brahma. And that is 4 arab 32 crore. 4 arab and 32 crores. If you convert it into English, it is 4,320,000,000. That is called a kalp. Now this is the biggest unit of time anywhere in the world. So, in accordance with that, equal to that is Brahmaji's night. By the system of day and night, Brahmaji lives for 100 years. 100 years is 31 Nil, 31 Nil, 12 Kharab and 40 Arab years. So our Brahmaji has completed 50 of his years. When Panditji does the puja, you can note very carefully. Right? He says, in the puja, he's describing these details. In the 54th, so Brahmaji has completed his golden jubilee. In his 51st year, this is the first day. This is called the Shvet Varaha Kalp. In that Shvet Varaha Kalp, 6 cycles have gone by. And this is the 7th Manvantar. In the 7th Manvantar, 27 Chaturyugas have passed. This is the 28th Chaturyuga. In that, Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga have gone by. And in Kali Yuga, 5,119 years have passed. So he now starts describing the history of this cult, this day of Brahma. He says, Brahmaji, with the desire to create in the beginning, now the whole world was all sleeping, right? They had all become unmanifest. He's starting on a fresh note. From his mind, he created the four Kumars, Sanat, Sanatan, Sanat, Sananda. And he said, go ahead, I need creation to happen. But these four Kumars were too enlightened. They thought, if we grow up, if we enter the teen years, then it is natural that our mind will get distracted. Now, those days there were no video games, but still they realized that if we grow up, there will be many distractions. They preferred to remain in the childhood form, Brahmacharya avastha, and just absorb their mind in Brahman. But Brahmaji felt extremely disappointed. He frowned, and from his forehead, Shankarji manifested. Now there is one Sadashiv for innumerable universes, and there is one he manifests in this world as Shankar. So Shankar is a Sanatan Tattva, like Ganesh is a Sanatan Tattva. So at the time of the marriage of Shiv and Parvati, they worshipped Ganesh, the child to be, because Ganesh is also Sanatan. God does his leelas. So Shankarji manifested. Now, Brahmaji tried again, and he created 10 Manas Putras, 10 great sages, which included Durvasa, Vasisht, Devarshi Narad, Pulastya, Pulaha, etc. And he said, please create. These sages were not interested in worldly pursuits. They realized the encumbrances of household life and they wanted to avoid it. So Brahmaji thought, there needs to be some kind of motivation out here. I now need to have Maithuni Srishti. So from half his body, a man manifested, half his body, a woman manifested. That were the first man and woman, Manu and Shatarupa. Now the incentive got created. Without incentive, why would anybody enter household life? I am a sannyasi, but I live in the houses of so many, right? So I am aware of all the difficulties that you all face and all the juta chappal that you keep receiving from Maya Devi. See, my God, so many problems. People say, Swamiji, is it difficult to attain God? I say, it is far easier than the difficulties you face in household life. So, but now there was the incentive. The man and woman were there, and Manu and Shatarupa from them. I used to have a Hindi teacher when I was in grade 8. So he said, in the Western world they got Mua, and we got Manu. So he said, from Mua you remove it's Nu, and from Manu you remove the Ma, so the Nu is common, they have the same understanding, same source. But whatever it is, that is trying to create links. Manu and Shatarupa had 5 children, 2 boys, Priyavrat and Uttanapat, and 3 daughters, Devahuti, Prasuti, and Ahuti. Prasuti was given in marriage to the sage Daksh. And from Prasuti and Daksh, there were many daughters born. One of them was Sati. Sati was given in marriage to Shiv. Now, 2 daughters of Daksh, Diti and Aditi, they were given in marriage to the sage Kashyap. Now here another drama started unfolding. The 4 Kumars in that childhood state, with their minds absorbed in Brahman, they went to Vaikuntha, the abode of Narayana. There were 2 gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay. They stopped them. They said, you don't have entry. And in any case, you are not wearing clothes. Is this the way to go before God? the four Kumars felt insulted. They said, you don't realize who we are, and you're putting all these unnecessary rules. They cursed them that go and become demons forever in the earth plane. In the meantime, Narayan came. So Narayan, when he saw that his gatekeepers had been cursed, he made a request. Oh sages, please don't do this. Have mercy on them. Now you may ask that why did sages become angry? Anger is unbefitting a behavior or an emotion to a sage. Krodha ki dvaita buddhi binu, dvaita ki binu ajnana. Anger comes in duality of intellect, and duality of intellect comes with ignorance. So how come these sages are giving vent to such fury and cursing you become demons? The reason is God wanted to do a leela. God is sitting in the heart of the sages. He needed to descend. And in order to take avatar and make his leela interesting, he needed some demons to fight with. So who is going to fight with God? Only great saints can do that. He needed that drama to happen. Sitting in the hearts of Jay and Vijay, he inspired them, stopped them. And then sitting in the hearts of the four Kumars, he inspired, cursed them. And now he intervened. Hari Maharaj, what is this you have done? Please forgive them. As if he doesn't know what is going on. God is the best actor. You see, if in the world you do acting, people will say, 420 karte ho. In India, Tafa 420, 420 would have been put on you for cheating. But when God does cheating, that is called Leela. What cheating? In other words, he hides his original personality. When we hide, you can do a drama in the, like for example, the Ram Leela goes on. So somebody becomes a Ram. Now he is not the actual Ram, he is pretending to be Ram. Right? Somebody pretends to be Sita. Somebody becomes Hanuman. Once there was a Ram Leela that was happening, a Ram Leela party had come to our college. Now, college is not the proper place for Ram Leela because college students are a little mischievous. So in between, the curtain would drop in between the scenes. Now, one boy thought of a prank. He pulled the curtain prematurely. And what did the audience see? That Hanuman is smoking a bidi. People were shocked. What? But then they realized he's not the actual Hanuman, isn't it? Somebody pretending to be Hanuman. In other words, a Samarth is pretending to be Samarth. That is the drama of the world. And when Sarva Samarth is pretending to be Asamarth, that is the Leela of the Lord. So, knowing everything, he says, Maharaj, please forgive them, reduce the sentence. So, the four Kumars, they said, all right, we are giving these Jay and Vijay a choice. Either go down as devotees for 7 lifetimes, or go down as demons for 3 lifetimes. They said, this earth planet, it's too painful. There are all kinds of global warming and fear of the nuclear war, etc., etc. We prefer to be there just for 3 short lifetimes as demons. And that Jay and Vijay, sages from the divine abode, they descended as the first time as Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. The second time as Ravan and Kumbhakarna. And the third time as Shishupal and Dantavakra. The God got an excuse. He said, they are going 3 times, my servants, ultimately it's my responsibility. I will go down 4 times. So 4 avatars took place because of that. This is Varaha Avatar, Nrisingha Avatar, Ram Avatar, and Krishna Avatar. So out here, now the story continues. We will stop this here, and what happened subsequently, the stories of the children of Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, we will take a look at this in tomorrow's Katha Prasang. Bole Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki, Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran Ki, Sri Satgurudev Ki.
Radhe Radhe, that was an amazing lecture by Swamiji. Now for the interactive session, I would like to invite Aditi ji and Nitin ji to join us for the interactive session.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Pooja ji, Smita ji, Pandit ji. Wonderful Bhagavat Mahapuran session going on today again.
Yep.
We get the grace of being able to discuss and learn about this prasang that we heard today. Before we carry on, just a little bit of a recap where we are. I think we had asked a question earlier.
Yesterday.
Yeah, so Parikshit was asked to rise above hankering
and
aversion.
Yes.
And the question was how? What was the solution given to him? And the answer is through meditation of two types. One is by the meditation of the cosmic form, which is perceiving the presence of God everywhere, which means automatically you will not have hankering or aversion because you're seeing God everywhere. And the other one was to develop devotion for God, which is through Rup Dhyan, which Maharaji recommends. And that is through the Trida Bhakti, which is hearing, remembering, and chanting. So Shravan, Smaran, and Kirtan. And Kirtan covers all of them. So that's the answer. Question for you today to put in comments. Please like, comment, share. And for you to put in comments, who were the two personalities that Vidurji met after Sri Krishna departed?
So this is from yesterday's lecture.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was the other question?
The other question
is, who was Vidurji in reality? Okay.
Yes.
So you can put those questions down below in the comment section. And while you're thinking about them, yesterday's lecture ended off at a point where Vidurji is asking Maitreya ji all about creation and why the souls have to come in this cycle of birth and death over and over. And he's asking generally questions that even we have, all these existential questions, okay? So Swamiji says, he paraphrases and he says that God, soul and Maya have existed since eternity. And this whole cycle of creation and maintenance and destruction keeps continuing. So it's not creation as such, it's just God, soul and Maya. Those are the eternal entities, and then the soul is just cycling in Maya since eternity, right? So, I mean, if you connect it to the principle of energy, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only changes form. So nothing is ever created in that sense. It's just creation, maintenance, destruction, and that just keeps continuing through God, soul and Maya. Okay. So what do you think, Nitin, about that aspect of that lecture?
I think it's enlightening. It's enlightening, like everything that Swamiji covers in his lecture. And actually, one question that I wanted to pose to you is part of that discussion and part of that conversation between Vidur and Maitreya Muni is there is a question from Vidur asking, why does God even need to take avatar? And Maitreya Muni gives a very interesting and very deep and enlightening answer. And I was wondering if you had any takeaways from that answer and from that conversation as a whole.
Yeah, I think just that particular question, and I think the whole of this lecture that we heard today was all about the grace of God. I somehow feel that it kind of highlights the grace of God and the compassion of God towards all the souls in the world. Like Swamiji says that he gives the example of Sugriv and Ram, where Sugriv thinks Ram is just like this ordinary human being, and then he says Ram's like, if I twist the little finger of my arm, of my hand, then infinite universes will get destroyed. So, like, basically, God doesn't need to, if he has to kill demons and if he has to protect his devotees, which is, the Yogakshem concept that Swamiji was talking about, then he doesn't need to do anything much. So the only reason he takes incarnation is to grace the souls, because he knows the highest happiness of the souls lies in him.
Yes.
So he takes an incarnation in order to give them the benefit, the basis for devotion by his names, his forms, his pastimes, his abodes, his saints, and so that the souls can develop love and devotion for him and attain him through that. And most important of all, to serve him with a loving heart. And putting it in the context of the whole Vedic time cycle that Swamiji was discussing, which I was extremely, by the way, taken. I was just overwhelmed by the way Swamiji just quoted all of those numbers.
Term after term after term.
Yeah, term after term. I couldn't by heart
even try to remember that.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I found amazing. But it actually told me that if the Vedic time cycle is so big and we have cycled for, as souls, we've been through the cycle for so long.
Yes.
It brings a sense of humility that this is the human life that we have, and we have to make the most use of it through these names, forms, and pastimes that God has so graciously given us to accomplish the goal of life in this time.
And each lifetime is just a blip.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's just, I don't even know if it's a blip. It's sort of like Carl Sagan, pale blue dot. You're just, you don't even, you're just so small.
Yeah.
And going back to yesterday, connecting it with yesterday's lecture, where we have the free will to expand, to think about God and to achieve Him. And that's the point, that God will grace us. Instead of just noting our karmas and giving us the result of it, He's going to grace us and allow us to reach our God realization.
Yes.
So those are the main takeaways for me, from the fact that He, why God takes avatar. And I know that one of your favorite parts of this lecture, that while we were watching, you were telling me, was this whole the exchange between Jai, Vijay, Lord Vishnu, and all the four Kumars.
Yes.
So why was it?
Well, what the best part about this for me is that it actually ties into the same conversation we had yesterday about the, we had a different sage and we had Yamraj, and we had a conversation with them where we had a sage getting angry, and we had a deity in a very calm response to that situation. And even yesterday I said, here we have a sage who's getting angry, who's having a moment of pride. And I was wondering, I wonder how he responded to that situation. And it happened again today. And this time Swamiji actually answered my question. He said, the sage getting angry, these sages, they are very devoted. They're not supposed to be getting angry. Why are they getting angry? It's because Vishnu himself is sparking that anger, because it's going to lead to a lila and a blessing down the road. So I'm floored that we had this conversation and I brought up this topic, and it just came up again today. And actually we had a more full, big picture view of the exact same thing. And now you have, just like Yamraj yesterday, now we have Jay and Vijay in this situation where they're getting cursed, and they're having to do the, yes, thank you, I will take the curse, I will take it as a blessing, I will do my servitude, and we will be villains on earth for 3 lifetimes. And ultimately it's in the name of providing this blessing in the long term. And it amazes me just to have a very similar story, but to have a much, larger scope, to have all these 3 lifetimes they're going to serve as villains. But it's kind of a recurring theme of somebody, a sage, particularly, getting angry, and it seems like untoward. Like, why is this devoted sage getting angry, but there's a deeper purpose. And you find out that God is really behind the scenes, and God is really sparking all of these reactions to ultimately create these leelas so that we can take lessons away from them, and to even, to your point, so that we can use those as references for the blessings and for our own devotion.
Yes, and so that is the grace of God. Like, he does all of this stuff just for our sake.
Yes.
And so that's why today's lecture for me was all about the grace of God, like the infinite grace of God to do all this. And also another point to think about, the selflessness of these devotees, right? Jay and Vijay, they're coming down as Rakshasas. Now they're saints, and Swamiji says that who can go head to head with God? Only somebody as powerful as him.
Yes, yes,
right?
Yes.
And they are willing to be vilified for the rest of eternity in these roles, for the sake of taking part in God's Leela and for the benefit of all the souls. So that I really found amazing, which again goes back to the point where, every single time we think about, usually when we grow up in India, we hear these stories of, evil versus good, and those Rakshasas were, they were bad and should not be like them. But this is the bigger picture. This is the grand picture.
It's all actors.
Yeah, they're all actors.
It's all seva.
It's all seva.
Yes.
And sometimes for the benefit of the, for the benefit of the world, these saints take on a role in which they would not, most likely not like to be remembered, but they don't even think about that. Yeah. All they think about is serving their Lord. For the glory of God, they take that role.
Yes.
Because when God fights against them, then God is glorified.
Yeah.
So that was the beautiful thing I found about today's lecture. And let's not forget the comments. Some answers did come in. Someone said, a lot of you said that Vidurji was a Dasi Putra and he was the incarnation of Yamraj. Yes. So though that was right. I'm not sure if anyone answered the other question, which was, who were the two sages that Vidurji met after Sri Krishna left?
I think we got so wrapped up in our discussion, we didn't see half the comments.
Yes. Okay. So
Yeah,
Tejal
there we
Vain,
go.
once again. Thank you, Tejal Vain. She says, Vidurji met Uddhav and sage Maitreyi.
Yes.
And Vidurji was actually Yamraj. So 2 in 1. So 1-2 punch, Tejal Vain. Wonderful. Okay.
Well done.
So well done. And that actually concludes our interactive session for today. Do continue watching this wonderful series. As Swamiji said, it will help you grow your wisdom and detachment along with bhakti. And it is priceless in that sense. So thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Over to you, Pujaji.
That was a beautiful, beautiful interactive session. Thank you for giving us so much insight into the various aspects yesterday, today summarized so well. Thank you so much, both of you, Aditi ji and Nitin ji. So we look forward to having another session tomorrow at 6 o'clock. So we will have the pujan again, the Purushottam Bhagwan Puja. So do look up the portal. There is a place where you can sign up and be part of the puja. And of course, beautiful kirtans, and can't wait for continuing the Bhagavatam program by Swamiji. Tonight, we also have the Ram Katha Rahasya that is probably already started. I'm sorry we went a little over today. We will keep that in mind tomorrow. And thank you all for coming over today and enjoying the program. We look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Radhe Radhe.